Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, the good people for Tube. Hope you are well today, hope you are feeling grand and always well in your world. Hello everybody. Today everybody, this video is going to be talking all about kind of nerves. How do I get over nerves before a gig, or I'm nervous, what's going on kind of thing and stuff like that. This came up in a recent Q&A and I wanted to do a video where I can just kind of like talk freely about it, kind of from my own experience and certain things that I believe and my beliefs and stuff like that, kind of, you know, my experience, I'd say, on the whole kind of like getting over nerves thing before you go on stage or perform live or whatever. You know, how do you kind of get over it? So that's what this video is going to be about today, everybody. So ramble alert. So the quick and simple and easy answer to how do I get over nerves when I perform live is you don't. Simple as that. That is the simple answer. You don't get over being nervous playing live. I've been gigging live now for 17 years. I did my first gig 6 months after I started playing guitar, and the feeling has never changed. I still get really, really, really nervous when I go on stage or play in front of people. It's as simple as that. I don't normally get a stage, actually. I normally get a pub floor, but you know what I mean. If performance in front of people, so you always get nervous. It's a natural thing to be nervous as well. That's the thing. It's okay to be. You know what I mean. There's a lot of people who go out like, Noel Gallagher used to say, I don't get nervous. It's like, I don't get nervous about doing this and the other. It's like, I think I'd beg to differ. I bet if I jumped in your brain before you went on stage at Nebworth, I bet you were nervous. I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? I don't like that whole bravado thing of, I don't get nervous. This is, it's nothing to me. I can just do it. It's like, no, you can't. No one can. I don't know a single performer who hasn't said before they go on stage they're nervous. You know what I mean? I know. I've read articles and seen some things of artists who will throw up before they go on stage because they're that nervous. Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden, I remember watching an interview with him saying an hour before Iron Maiden go on stage, he can't drink, he can't eat because he's too nervous and he's too kind of like, the adrenaline's starting to go and, he can't eat or drink an hour before they go on stage. John Frusciante is another one. He said he measured his heart rate walking up to the stage and his heart rate was absolutely through the roof. It was really beating fast. So many other, people. My friend, I was around at my friend the other night, Ian James Stewart's house, and we were talking about this. I brought it up there, and he said the same thing. He said, like, before he went on stage, he was always nervous. There was always that kind of like, that adrenaline starts going and you get nervous and you can hear the crowd and this, that, and the other. And it does affect you. It does make you nervous. So, and it doesn't matter what level you play at, be it beginner or professional level. Nerves are a part of it. Full stop. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way it is. You're going to be nervous and you're going to be a bit panicky and you're going to be a bit kind of, oh my god, what if? Because that's the way the human brain is. It's a terrifying thing to get on stage in front of it's a terrifying thing to go on stage in front of loads of people. It's a terrifying thing to go on stage in front of no one. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing. If you play in front of 2 or 3 people, it's as terrifying as. It's probably more terrifying actually than going on stage in front of thousands of people, because I've spoke to a few people who have done like festival gigs. A friend of mine called Matt. He played bass in the Noisettes and he's played like lap steel on Mumford and Sons albums and Mystery Jets and stuff like that. And he's a session guitarist, more of a lap steel player now, pedal steel player, sorry. And he's played some like massive gigs, like festival gigs all over the world. And he said the thing about going on stage in front of thousands of people is your brain can't comprehend it. He said all you can see is the first couple of rows, and then it just is C, and you can't comprehend it. And he said it actually almost makes it easier. It's still nerve-wracking, but it almost makes it easier because it's too many people, your brain can't comprehend it. Whereas playing in a club to 20, 30, 40 people is kind of like, whoa, this is a bit more terrifying. So So yeah, so simply there is no thing. There's nothing you can really do apart from one thing, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, which I don't agree with, to dull the nerves you get before you play live. You know what I mean? I'm going to talk about in a minute what I do and stuff like that, but and some of the things I've experienced and some of the things that I've, from personal experience, I've had to kind of cope with. There's nothing you can really do. If you're nervous, that's normal. You'll be okay though. It's all about, your brain does kind of go, what if? What if I break a string? What if my guitar breaks? What if my amp dies? What if my pedal board dies? These are all things you have no control over. So worrying about them is kind of pointless. If you break a string, you're going to break a string. If your amp fails, your amp's going to fail. There's nothing you can do about it. You can be the most prepared human being on the world, but if something dies, something dies. It was something I learned a long time ago. Of always have a backup. When you go gigging, have a backup guitar, have a backup amp, have a backup, pedal board or backup pedals, backup leads, backup everything. Slides, earplugs, plectrums, tuners, whatever. Or have a backup for everything. It's really important because if something does fail, you need to be able to replace it. You know what I mean? There's been so many gigs I've done where I've gone to stand on a pedal and it hasn't turned on, or my lead has died mid-gig, or somebody has stepped on something while it's been set up and, whatever, and broken something, and you go on to play and nothing happens. You need backups. You always need to be taking 2 guitars to a gig. No ifs, no buts. You always have 2 guitars. And then the other one, your backup guitar, is always out and ready to go, tuned up in case you do break a string, or your guitar fails. You know what I mean? You need that. You need that backup. You can't be without backups. And you also need to know your setup inside and out. So if something does go wrong with your amp or your pedals, you can kind of immediately isolate that problem. So if your pedal board dies, you need to know your amp well enough so you can go back to your amp, plug straight into your amp, dial your amp in so you can continue the show. And you might have to do the rest of the gig from your guitar without pedals. You might have to do that. And the same thing if your pedal board dies. If your amp dies, you need to have a backup amp. So if your pedal board dies, you're gonna have to change amps. You know what I mean? That's no ifs, no buts. But this is why it's always important to have your backup amp on stage as well. You know what I mean? You always want it nearby, just in case, if it does die, then you can just kind of flick over, so to say. And it's never going to be seamless, but you can always, you can find a way to just kind of cut down a thing. If you leave your backup amp in the van outside, and you've got to stop the gig, go outside, get your amp, bring it back in, and do it. It's a bit suspect. It's not a very good thing to do. Trust me. Did that with a PA once. Very stupid. Never did it again after that. I was we were doing a gig and the PA died, and I had to go and get the other PA. I had to stop first set, mid-set, to go and get another PA head because I didn't bring it into the venue. Silly Dave. So, and I never did it again after that. All backups were in the venue with everything we needed. So anyway, so yeah, and again, having backups alleviates that worry and makes you less nervous. And again, knowing your rig makes that less nervous. It's just about eliminating the variables. You know what I mean? Certain variables and certain things are going to happen. You're going to break strings. Pedals are going to die. Your lead's going to break. Your amp's going to die. That's going to happen. That is going to happen at some point. That's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. Your tone might be crap. At a gig, the venue might ruin the sound of your amp. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just the way it is. You just got to get on and get on with it. So, kind of it kind of brings me kind of neatly actually into kind of one of the main things to kind of not be so nervous. Like I say, is to eliminate these variables. Have a backup for everything. Know your rig. So if your pedal board dies, you can go into your amp. If your amp dies, you've got another amp you can just plug in straight, not straight away, but you can replace and keep going. Or, have a backup guitar, have spare strings, all sorts of these, just eliminate the variables. Have spare leads, spare plectrums, everything close to hand as well. So if you're playing and you drop your plectrum, and you don't have another plectrum on you, you know what I mean? That's going to create panic. So I always wedge plectrums in my scratch plate on my guitars on the underneath on the lower horn of the Strat. I always wedge plectrums in it. So if I drop my plectrum, there's another one there, and I can just grab it. Or pick sticks on microphones, or plectrums on top of your amp, or on your pedal board. Mike McCready of Pearl Jam, he has a pot on his pedal board. It's about so big, and in that pot, it's just full of plectrums. So if he drops his plectrum, all he has to do is scoop down, pick it up, and away he goes again. I think his slides are in there as well. It's as simple as that. Just eliminate these variables. 2 guitars, 2 amps, 2 pedal boards. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Just in case something dies, multiple leads. Have as many leads as you can get. I normally go to a gig with about 9 to 10 leads, just in case. And I only ever use 2. I go from my amp to my pedal board to my guitar. But it's just eliminating the variables. And in doing so, the what ifs kind of like go away. What if my pedal board dies? Don't worry, I've got spare. What if my amp dies? Doesn't matter, I've got a spare. What if my lead dies? Doesn't matter, I've got a spare. What if I break a string? Doesn't matter, I've got a spare guitar. You know what I mean? All these variables all of a sudden get crushed by you being more prepared. So being prepared, I suppose, is the first thing. I haven't planned this video. I don't plan anything, so I'm just going to waffle. So I hope this is making sense. I'm terrified. Oh, there we go. There's the fear. Hello, fear. Okay, so we've hit the fear barrier. Well, not barrier, but we've hit the fear mode, everybody. So be prepared for all eventualities and know your setup. You know what I mean? Know it. Inside and out. What, where, and, what's going on. You know what I mean? So, because, like I say, your amp's going to die at some point. You're going to break a string live at some point. Your pedal's going to die at some point. Your lead's going to break at some point. Batteries are going to die if you're using batteries at a gig. You know what I mean? That's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do about that. It's an inevitability that these things are going to happen. So all you can do is be prepared. You know what I mean? That's all you can do. So backups, mega, mega, mega important. And this will ease your nerves. Because instead of going on stage going, oh, what if? You've got that backup. If your amp dies, you've got a spare amp, and so forth. Okay, so coming on to another thing of how do you even get yourself on stage? You know what I mean? If you're nervous and terrified, how do you even get yourself on the stage in the first place? Now, this is the hardest bit. This is, you can have all your backups. You can have all the support in the world. You can have a crowd that's absolutely loves you and wants you on stage to perform. But how do you get yourself on stage? Because none of that matters if you're terrified. You know what I mean? If you're terrified of that, your initial reaction is to run away from it or just not do it because it's scary. It's horrible. It's not very nice. That's a human reaction. It's that fight, flight, or freeze kind of thing we have. You're going to run from it. You're going to try and fight it and get on there. Or you're just going to freeze and not be able to do anything. And this is where the fight has to come in. Because to get yourself on stage in front of people sometimes is a fight. You have to fight your inner being. You have to dig really, 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 really deep and find that inner strength. It is in everyone as well. I don't believe in only certain people can do this. Now, everyone can do it. It's just having the... what's the word I'm looking for? Courage to do it. You've got to dig deep. You've got to find that inner strength that's in us all. And you just got to get up there and you just got to go, right, okay, I am terrified, but I'm going to go on. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to push myself. And it is all about pushing yourself. You've really got to kick yourself and get out there and get it done. You know what I mean? People want to see you play. You need to get out there and you need to give them what they want. You can't just be kind of hiding from it. You need to be doing what you need to be doing. So just go for it. You're not going to lose anything. It will be okay. It will be okay. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, well, this brings me to another thing in a minute, is that when you are playing live, all that should matter when you play live is the music. Not what that person over there thinks, not what that person over there thinks, not what anybody else thinks or what the world is or what your day's been like or what you've got to do tomorrow or this, that and the other. When you go on stage, the only thing that's important at that point in time is the music. Forget the world. Push the world away. The world doesn't matter. The state of the world doesn't matter. Nothing matters at that point in time. The only thing that matters is the music. And for that 2.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever you're playing, half an hour, whatever it is, all that matters is the music, and that's the escape. And that's the release that we all need. And people in the crowd need it as well. So it's all about just, digging deep, finding that inner strength and getting on stage and just going, nothing else matters right now. I've just got to play this music as best I can. And it makes it so much more simple. Life's easy, when you hit the stage, really, because there's only one thing you've got to concentrate on, is being the best you can be at that point. Not what people are thinking about you, not what people are saying about you. If they like it or they don't like it, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you're there to do your job as a musician and a performer, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's simple. That's all you've got to do at that point in time. You're not there to impress. You know what I mean? I don't like that whole thing of going up on stage just to wow people. It's not cool. That's not what music is to me anyway. It's you want to go on stage and you want to connect with people, and it's up to people if they want to connect. You know what I mean? You can't force people to connect with you. It will happen or it won't happen. There's nothing you can do about that. Coming back down to variables. If people aren't connecting with your music, there's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So forget that. Forget what they think. Forget what's going on. Get lost in the music. And the weird thing is, the more you can get lost in music, the more people get drawn into it. Because it's honest. You know what I mean? If you're up there giving it the big un and showing off and going crazy, but you're not actually into it, I don't actually want to do this. I'm not actually kind of feeling I want to be this showy. People will pick up on that. They will go, I don't believe you. It's body language. Humans are not stupid. Not stupid. They can pick up on these things. So if you're not being honest, then people will not tune in to your music. They won't tune into you. You've got to be honest. You've got to be truthful. You've got to be totally and you've got to be totally and brutally honest with yourself when you perform live. And you've also got to be lost in music. You've got to be lost in the song. From the first second of the first song, you've got to be gone. You've got to just zone the world out. You know what I mean? You can come back after the song, but as soon as that next song starts, you're gone again. And it's really hard to do, and it is difficult to stay in sometimes, especially when there's distractions or the place is noisy or this, that, and the other. It's really, really difficult to do. But it's simple at the end of the day, because like I say, the only thing you've got to concentrate on as a musician and a performer is being a musician and a performer. Just the music is all that's important. If people aren't listening and they don't care, why should you care about them? If they don't care about you and what you're doing, considering how hard what you're doing is, then forget them. If you're playing a pub or a club to 40 people and there's only 4 people or 2 people or even 1 person who's listening to you, then you direct it at that person. You play for that person. And if nobody's there to listen to you, you play for yourselves in a band, or if you're a solo, actually play for yourself. And you just do what you do. And just get lost in the music. Like I say, it's very simple when you think about what you've got to... I've got a really itchy nose all of a sudden. It's very simple, really, when it comes down to it, what you have to do as a performer, a musician. You just have to go and perform. And the more you can get lost in the music, the more honest you will be about your performance. And the more honest you are, the more people will come along for the ride with you. I promise you, this does happen. It's incredible. So, and like I say, if you are not honest with your performance and you are not giving everything you are, people will pick up on that and they will be like, I'm not really feeling this. You know what I mean? You've got to give everything you've got to give. You know what I mean? You've got to be exhausted after a gig. You've got to be tired. You've got to be emotionally drained. You've got to be emotionally haggard. You've got to be physically haggard by the end of the gig. You know what I mean? You've got to be tired because that proves you've given it all. You know, and that's the point. You've got to give people everything you've got. Not the people who don't care, the people who do care. And if it's that one person, give it all to them. And if it's no one, give it to each other. That's hard. That is difficult. When you're playing a gig and no one's listening, it is difficult. But you can find. You've got to dig deep and you've got to find it. Much in the same way you've got to dig deep to get on there in the first place. Like I say, simply put, just concentrate on the music. You know, on your performance. That's all that matters. That is all that matters. And like I say, the more you can get lost in it, the more you will drag people along with you. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean? But I know it's hard. And it is terrifying. It is nerve-wracking. But it's all about, like I say, if you eliminate backup, if you eliminate variables, if you eliminate what-ifs, like what happens if my amp dies, what if my pedals die, what if I break a string, if you can eliminate them by having plans in your head ready to go if that happens. If I break a string, I'll change guitar. If my amp dies, I'll change amps. If my pedal board dies, I'll change pedal boards. You know, if my lead breaks, I'll change the thing. If I drop a plectrum, I'll have another one nearby. You know what I mean? If you can eliminate those, it just frees up space in your mind. You know what I mean? It just kind of alleviates those worries of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. It's okay. I'll be all right. And when these things happen, which they will, because you've got a backup, you won't get flustered. You won't go, oh my god, what are we going to do? And it just all of a sudden goes totally wrong. You know, that isn't going to happen. You're going to be like, oh, my amp's died. Okay, I'll get my other one up there and can take this one off, put that one on, click on, and dial it in. Away we go. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Pedal board's died. Oh, okay. For the next song then, or for the rest of this song, I'll quickly unplug my guitar from my pedal board, straight into my amp. I know what setting I need to put my amp on to finish out this song. I can do everything from my guitar. And then when this song finishes, I'll quickly change my pedal board out because my spare pedal board's only there. You know what I mean? Eliminating those little variables will make you more calm and more relaxed. You know what I mean? And knowing, like I say, knowing your setup, knowing what you're doing, like, you know, and just, like I say, just accept it. Just accept these things are going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. So just at some point it's going to happen. You're ready for it. You know what I mean? With backups. The getting on stage thing, like I say, dig deep. It's in us. We can do it. You can do it. You know what I mean? You can do it. It just takes that initial fight to get yourself up there and go, no, come on, we're doing this. You know, just if you got to drag yourself up, you got to drag yourself up. But you've got to do it. It's all well and good having people there trying to talk you on. You know what I mean? It's like, no, come on, these people have come to see us. You can do it. If you're backstage going, I can't do it, of course you can't. Listen to yourself. You know, if you're well, backstage or wherever you are, if you're convincing yourself you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. It's like Miyamoto Musashi says, the moment you think you've lost a fight, you've lost the fight. It's as simple as that. And that comes over to music and playing live. The moment you think you can't go and perform is the moment you can't perform. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same deal. You need to dig deep. You need to find that strength of going, instead of going, I can't do it, I'm too scared. I can do this. I'm scared, but that's okay. I've got my backups. I know the songs. I know I can play. I'm terrified, but I can do this. You know, you need to get that positivity in your head. It's really difficult, but it can be done. And you've got to believe yourself when you say it. When you say, I can do it, it can't be, I can do it. It can't be that. It's got to be, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. I'm terrified of this, but I can do it. You know, it's got to be that. You've got to have that commitment, that drive. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be nervous and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it. You know, I nearly swore. It's got to be that. It can't be, okay, I can do this. I think I can do this. Can I do it? Yeah, I can do this. I think, yeah, I can. Can't be that. It can't be that. It's like I say, you've lost then. you've lost the battle at that point. You've lost that fight. You need to go, no, I can do this. I can do this. If you got to keep saying it to yourself, keep saying it to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror if it helps, you know what I mean? You know, play the guitar before you never... Well, that brings me on to things that I do, which I'm going to talk about in a sec. But, you know, if you eliminate the variables of what can happen and you're prepared for every eventuality, and when it's just that initial getting yourself on stage, which you know you can do. And I know you can do it. You know, everybody knows you can do it. You just got to get out there and you've just got to push yourself to do it. And that's the hardest bit. But you will find that once you push yourself to do something like that, that it doesn't become easier. But once you've done it once, you're like, I did it. And it's an amazing feeling to go, I did it. I did it. I can't believe I did it. It's well cool. It's an amazing feeling. And then once you've done it once, you can do it again. It's not going to make it any more easy, but you can do it again. And once you've done it again, you can do it again. And once you've done it again, you can do it again. You know, it's never easy. And some gigs are going to be harder than others. Some gigs you might go, oh, I found it quite easy to get myself on stage there to play. That was quite easy. And then the gig after that could be really difficult. And going, wow, that really took a lot of me to get me up there. But okay, that's okay to be that way. It's totally fine that one gig's going to be harder than the other. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to feel sick. It's okay to feel like you're going to pass out. It's okay to feel panicky. You know, these are all natural human reactions to what you're about to do. It's a stressful thing. But if you can refocus your mind to go, I can do this, and once I get on that stage or that floor or wherever you are playing, and you can get your brain is going, once I get onto that bit of where I'm playing, all I need to concentrate is the music, but I know how to play. That's all I need to do. I don't have to worry about anything. Once I get up on that stage, I don't have to worry about anything, because if I break a string, break a string. If my amp dies, it dies. There's nothing I can do to stop that happening. So all I need to do is focus on what I'm doing, which is playing music and performing. So if you can just focus yourself on that, then nothing else matters. You know, and it just becomes, life becomes very simple at that point. You know, life of a musician, once you get yourself on stage, is very simple. You just got to perform. You just got to play. You know, and you got to play to the best of your ability. And you've got to push yourself into, you know, being the best you can be at that point in time. And you've got to be honest. Like I say, you've got to be brutally honest. You know, you really do have to be brutally honest. So that'll bring me kind of neatly into things that I do. So I'm going to talk quickly about, well, not quickly, but I'm going to talk, I don't talk about anything quickly, do I? I'm going to talk about what I do when I gig. Okay, so what I like to do when I go to a gig is the whole drive to the gig, all I'm thinking about is what ifs as well. But I keep answering the questions. What if your pedal board dies? I'll go straight to my amp until I can change pedal board out. What if your amp dies? Then, you know, we'll stop the song. I'll change my amp out. People will understand. If they don't understand, that's their problem. You know, I'll change my amp out and then we'll continue once I've got my amp changed out. What if PA dies? Then I'll use the backup PA. Just wire it, click it together. You know, what happens if this happens? You know, I'll just answer all these with rational explanations. You can't go, what happens if your amp dies? Well, I'm going to run around like a headless chicken, smacking my head into a wall and crying in a corner and trying to crawl into my own shoe because I'm embarrassed. You know, you can't be like that. It's going to be a case of if your amp dies, you just change to your backup. You know what I mean? You know, you need to be rational. You need to be, you need to be clever about it. But there are still times you get really terrified of gigs. I mean, I still get really nervous about gigging now. I mean, I did a gig the other week, and the last Thursday, and not last Thursday, sorry, Thursday before, and it was really nerve-wracking. I mean, it was really. I mean, I'm one of those people who can't look up. I can every now and again, but I don't like looking up. I can't. If I see people's faces, it kind of freaks me out. So I just tend to keep my head down and just lay into the guitar basically, and just keep my head down and just kind of like zone out the world more than anything. I can do it every now and again, but not all the time. So it's why I find it when I play guitar, I can't look at a camera. If I'm filming like a video for YouTube or Instagram and I'm playing, I find it really hard to look at the camera. It's like it's because of it's you lot out there. I can't see it. It's weird. Anyway, it's my own little coping mechanism. I mean, you all need those little coping mechanisms. So again, I'll get to coping mechanisms in a bit. I'm rushing ahead of myself. Calm down, Dave. Okay, so on the way to a gig, you'll be going through the what ifs, but again, you have to be kind of like, rational with yourself. You have to think, well, that might happen. It could happen tonight. My app might die. This anyway, blah, blah, blah. But I've got my backups, so I'm okay. So what I like to do once I get to the venue is I like to get set up as quick as possible. And what I like to do is I like to stand where I'm going to stand when I play. Even if it's just for like a minute or 5 minutes. Because invariably sometimes you don't get chance. Especially if it's kind of like a rush. If you're on like a bill with like loads of other bands, invariably you don't get that chance to kind of stand where you are and kind of take it in. You just got to kind of rush on and then rush off. You know what I mean? But I like to get on the stage and get set up as quick as possible. And just kind of like, I like to stand where I'm going to stand. And I just like to feel what's going on. Now look around. What's going on? Who's looking this way? What's going on? Where are people? What's going on? What's the stage setup? Is there anything I need to avoid? Where can I go and where can't I go? And I just like to like take it in. I just like look around the venue and just absorb it, and just go, okay. And where are my backups? Okay, my backup guitar's there. My backup pedal board's off to the right of me. Backup amp is off to the right of me, or it's behind me, or whatever. You know what I mean? I like to kind of like take all these little factors in and just kind of like get a feel for what's going on in the venue. Like I say, and sometimes you only get a couple of seconds to do this. Sometimes you only get a minute, or not even now, 30 seconds. So you have to do it kind of quickly. You just have to get a kind of vibe of where we are. Sometimes you'll get longer. Sometimes you might get an hour, if you're lucky, half an hour, 20 minutes. But sometimes you will get like 30 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever. But you've just got to kind of quickly, this is what I do, is I just kind of like try and take it all in. And I always wear earplugs. And I put my earplugs in as soon as I can when I get to a gig. And I leave them in because it cancels the world. All of a sudden the world's volume just drops. So if you're in a noisy pub and you put earplugs in, that volume goes from here to there. You know what I mean? It just goes. And you can just find yourself refocusing. You know what I mean? You can kind of look around at where you are and just kind of like, see, getting and be comfortable. And this brings me to another thing as well, is I'm really particular about the way I have things set up. I like my pedal board at a certain way. I like my mic stand in a certain way. I like my leads out the way. I hate leads when they're everywhere. I like my leads really out the way of me. I don't like leads when they're kind of like, all over your feet. I always get my leads as far away from me as I can. I just try and get them out of my way. I don't like them in my way. I always try and get them out of the way as much as possible. Because I like a clear floor space. It's almost like it clears my mind. If a floor's clear and clean, and there's no leads about, it clears my mind. I like to be tidy with things. Like if you know what I mean. I like things in a certain way, and I think this is important. You have to be comfortable. It's not weird. It's not like some kind of weird OCD thing. You've got to be comfortable to perform properly. If you're not comfortable and you're scared of like, what happens if I do this? What happens if I fall over my lead or this and the other? That's going to be on your mind. There's no what if, and you don't want that. So if your leads are all out the way, neat and tidy, then you'll perform better because you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to trip over them because they're out the way. How many professional gigs do you see like when there's leads all over the stage, apart from our White Festival and stuff like Woodstock and stuff like that, where the leads are out of the way, but all over the place. But again, these days everything's really neat, tidy, and out of the way, so you've got space to perform. And I really do feel that like the clearer your area where you play in is, like the less clutter there is around you, the better you will perform, because it's your space. You know what I mean? This is your kind of area. You kind of like, you're kind of safe in your area, if you will. So, So yeah, just kind of like that's one of the things to do. So I like to get into a venue. I like to get set up as quick as possible, and I like to feel the room out. And I like the area where I'm going to play to be as clean as possible. Everything has a place when I set up. Everything has a place in my mind where it needs to be. Pedalboard needs to be a certain angle so I can hear my amp. My amp has to be a certain angle so I can hear it. You know, leads have to be out of the way. My guitars have to be a certain distance from me so I know where they are just in case. I have to know where my backups are. And these are all things that I do before I play, and it just alleviates those what ifs and just calms me. Not, it calms me enough to get on and do it. It doesn't calm me totally. I'm still nervous and scared. I'm still really, I'm not comfortable, let's put it that way. But these are things I do. Like I say, I get my leads out of the way. I put my earplugs in. It cancels. And earplugs are really important. Everybody, if you're going to play live and you're going to play loud, wear earplugs. Please wear earplugs. Look after your ears. Because you don't want to lose your hearing. That's not cool. You want, if you're in it for the long run, you want to be wearing earplugs. Always wear earplugs. Get used to it. It's weird at start, but it is worth it. Get used to wearing earplugs. Okay, so that's some of they're like the main things I do when I first get to a gig. If I'm rushed, if I've got to get on in 2 minutes before I play, again, I will get set up as quick as possible, and I won't move. I won't go back off the stage. I'll just stay where I'm supposed to play. Once I'm set up, and I've got everything ready, I don't go off stage to come back on. I will stay where I am. The level I'm at, you don't do big introductions. The lights don't go out and you walk on stage to big rupturous applause. I just don't move, basically, really. If I'm doing a gig like that where it's on and off, I just stay where I am. And that just gives me that ability to just kind of like understand where we're going here. Right, okay, so this is what's going on. I can feel what's going on. Earplugs in, zone the world out, focus on the sound. Does my amp sound the way I want it to? Is my guitar playing the way I want it to? Is it in tune? Are the other band members ready to go? Is everything ready? Am I ready? Are the leads okay for me? Is that going to bother me if there's leads everywhere and this side the other? And just get them out of the way if they need. If you need to push something out of the way, push it out of the way. So that's kind of some things I do. Like I say, if I've got a gig where it's just like one band playing and there's more chance for me to be able to take it in, I will just kind of like stand there and just kind of get a feel for it. You don't always get this. There have been gigs where I get supremely stressed out. I did a gig in September, end of September, where it was a trio gig, and the trio were only support act at this gig, and the main act were divas. I don't appreciate divas. I don't like divaism in music at all. And they were so snotty towards us. Well, me. Because I was doing the sound that night. I was doing the PA. And they were just taking forever to sound check. And it was unnecessary. They kept going over the same old ground. And everything sounded great. Fine. There was nothing wrong with anything. But they kept pushing time back. So we finally got our stuff on stage, and we didn't get to, I don't think we got to sound check. I don't think the trio got to sound check. And by the time I got my amp on stage and got everything set up for us to play, I was absolutely stressed to the max. I couldn't, it was like I was in a haze. My brain, I couldn't concentrate. And I was forcing myself to concentrate, and I felt like in a daze. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And as a result, we had to start with Little Wing. We were going to start with another song, but we had to start with Little Wing because I just had to calm myself down. And I actually announced over the microphone that I said, I'm really, really stressed, so we're going to start slow. And we did Little Wing. And that brings me into something I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, there are going to be gigs like that. But again, once you get on stage and you start performing, that might not wash away, but all you need to focus on is your music. You know what I mean? You need to refocus your mind. I've got a sneaking feeling that this video is not going to be... I don't think I've got enough time to talk about everything I want to talk about, but I'm going to try. Okay, so that's what I do. And then, ow, just got stabbed in the finger. Oof. something very sharp on my chair to stab me right under the fingernail. Ow, that hurt. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I do. I like things in a certain way. When things can't be that way, I'm okay with that. Like, you know, if you're doing a gig and there are leads everywhere, then leads are everywhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me too much. It'll bother me, but it won't affect me, if that makes any sense. And I hope this video is making sense, by the way. So, it's like I say, you don't get over the nerves. You just kind of like get coping mechanisms to deal with it. And you need to be comfortable. You know, you need to be comfortable. You need to be able to hear yourself. You need to be able to hear your amp. You know, you need to be able to hear your vocals or the other band members or this, that and the other. And, you know, never be afraid to kind of like ask for somebody to turn down or turn up or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, don't be afraid to kind of like do this, that and the other. You know, it's got to be right. There's no point you just kind of going, oh, that'll do. You know, it has to be right. If it's that'll do, you're not going to perform the best you can. But if it's right and you're like, I'm really comfortable now, I'm nervous and I'm terrified, but at least I'm comfortable, I know where everything kind of is, you'll perform better and you'll be able to get lost easier. So after I've kind of like put my earplugs in and zoned the world out, the other thing I do then is I always keep my guitar with me. My guitar never leaves me really at a gig. I don't like my guitars too far away from me at a gig, just in case I need it as moral support. My guitar is my biggest kind of like moral support really. And I like to just sit and play it, you know what I mean, and warm up and just go through, you know, just play through songs and mess around with it, you know what I mean. Even if a pub's dead loud and you can't even hear the guitar, it's nice just to have it and feel it, you know what I mean. So that's another thing I do. That's another little coping mechanism I have, is I never leave my guitar really. There are times where I do prop it up and leave it, but it's kind of like 80% of the time I'll have my guitar with me. The 20% of the time it'll be kind of ready somewhere else, kind of lent up somewhere, lent against my amp or whatever, you know what I mean. So that's another thing I do. I always have my guitar with me and just kind of like get comfortable playing it. But I do like to stand and be near where I'm going to play all the time. You know what I mean? I really do like that. It just kind of gets me comfortable with where I'm playing and the venue I'm at. So that's another thing I do is, and another thing I like to do is like I like to know I've got a drink and I've got food to keep my energy levels up. Like if I'm doing 2 sets, I like to have something that's high energy in the break. So when I go on to the second set, my energy level is back up and where it should be, so to say. And I like to have a drink at a gig because I get so nervous, I get a really dry throat. Like even if I'm not singing, I get a really dry throat because I'm nervous. I get, you know, my mouth goes all kind of like dry because I'm scared. You know, I'm nervous. So I always like to have a drink, and it just kind of like, you know, keeps that kind of like all well and good. So that's another thing I do as well. I don't like going on stage without a drink. It freaks me out. So, and these are all things I do. So I think I've kind of like pretty much covered everything kind of near enough. But like I say, it is all about kind of like, to get yourself on stage, you've got to dig deep. And sometimes it's going to be horrible and awkward, and you're going to be in full-blown panic mode. I did a gig. There's actually footage of it on this YouTube channel somewhere. I did a gig a while back where the whole gig I was having a panic attack. Whole gig. We played for about 30 minutes. Or was it 40? I think it was like 30 minutes. We'd had a 30-minute set, and I was having a panic attack. From the moment I got into the venue, I was having a panic attack because it was noisy, and my reality shifted, and I just went into full-blown panic mode, and all of a sudden I found myself after the first song unable to breathe properly, and I couldn't breathe. It's like somebody was stood on my chest, and that made me panic, thinking I was going to pass out, or I was going to hyperventilate, or I was going to have to get off stage, or I wouldn't be able to perform properly, or this and the other. But I stayed on and I did it. I've also done another gig. We played a trio gig a while, I think it was like 2 years ago now. We played a trio gig where after the first 3 songs, I got really nauseous, like I was going to be sick. And that carried on for the whole gig. And because I was singing, every time I opened my mouth, I thought I was going to throw up into my microphone. But because I was so nervous, I was just terrified. I was nervous of the whole situation. But I did the gig, and you know, I just dug deep and found that kind of inner kind of strength, I'd say, and I just kind of pushed myself through it. And I've done gigs where I have been okay. I've got myself on stage, I've pushed myself on stage, and I'm like, yeah, I can do this. And first couple of songs go by, yeah, I can do this. First set goes by, awesome, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this. I'm getting lost in music. Second set rolls by. Third song into the second set. Panic attack. No ifs, no buts. Full blown. Like that. All of a sudden. And then you've got another 8 songs to do. And it's terrifying. But and trying to refocus your mind when you're in full-blown panic mode is really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult. And it just becomes really hard at that point. But you can do it. You've just got to dig deep. Panic attack, you're not going to die in having a panic attack. You're not going to pass out. You're not going to throw up. You're not going to, like, you know, a tiger ain't going to come leaping out of the crowd at you and maul you on stage. Panic attack is just that irrational fear. Your fight or flight mechanism has kicked in for no apparent reason other than you are scared or you're nervous. You know, you'll be okay. You've just got to ride it out at that point. But yeah, nerves happen. There's nothing you can do about being nervous. It's just the way it is. You're about to do something that's really scary. It's as simple as that. It's like jumping out of a plane, parachute jumping, or whatever. You know, it's a nerve-wracking thing to go on stage and perform music. It's not an easy thing. So you're always going to be nervous. There's nothing you can do. So when people message me saying, how can I kind of get over the nerves? You can't. All you can do is know that you've got backups in place. You've eliminated the variables as best you can. And you know, and all you got to keep doing is saying to yourself, I know these songs, I know I can do it. And you've got to believe it. You've got to believe you can do it. And invariably what will happen is, the moment you get on the stage and you start playing, after that first song, the world will vanish if you let it. And there is nothing left but the music. And you will relax. Well, within reason. And, you know, things will be okay. But you've got to release kind of control. You've got to kind of like breathe through it. You just got to kind of relax and just kind of let it go. Just let it go. Let the stress and the strain and everything that's going on, just let it go. It's not important. The only thing, like I say, once you will start playing music, there's only one thing that's important, that's music. There's nothing else. There should be nothing else. If you can't look at people like me, keep your head down. Don't look at people. Keep your head down. Nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with that. If you've got to find your own little coping mechanisms to deal with these nerves, to get yourself on there to do it. But don't go, I can't do this, because the moment, like I say, you've lost at that point. So anyway, just dig deep, find that inner strength, eliminate the variables, and just push yourself. And you've got to push yourself if you want to do it. If you don't push yourself, you're not going to do it. You've lost. You've got to push yourself into it. It's going to be horrible sometimes. It's going to be awkward. You're going to panic. It's going to feel like crap sometimes. But sometimes it won't. This gig might feel like crap and you might just be in full-blown panic for the whole gig. The next gig, you won't be. It won't travel over. I promise you. It won't happen every gig. It won't. Don't get yourself into that world where you're like, this is going to happen every gig. It won't happen every gig. Don't worry. It won't travel over. One gig might be a panic frenzy. The next gig might not be. It might be, but it probably won't be. You don't know until you get there. Never go expecting anything, because you don't know. Never go, oh, I know what tonight's going to be like. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you set yourself up for it, you're going to make it happen just by you thinking it to be. You know what I mean? So, how do you get over nerves? You don't. You just learn to deal with it. You know what I mean? You're always going to be nervous. You're always going to be scared. You're always going to be frightened. You're always going to have this knot in your stomach or feel like you're going to be sick or panic or whatever. That's okay. It's okay to be that way. It's not wrong to be that way. It's actually right to be that way. You're human. You know what I mean? You'll be okay. You know what I mean? Just breathe through it. You know what I mean? You'll be okay. And if you've got people there who support you, they'll make sure you'll be okay. But to do it though, you do have to have your inner strength. You've got to push yourself to do it. No one can do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. And if you do it yourself, good on you. Well done, mate. Well done. Is all I can say. If you can get yourself on there, feeling terrified, and you get on there and you play, you might not play your best. Doesn't matter. You might flub a note. Doesn't matter. You might make a mistake. Doesn't matter. Your pedal board might break. It doesn't matter. Your strings might break. It doesn't matter. Your amp might die. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, if you get up there and you do it, that's all that matters. And awesome. If you just do that, if you can get up there and you can do it regardless, well done. It's awesome. It's so worth it to push yourself to do it. And if you can do it, then yes, well done. You know, I'm anybody who get up on stage after being terrified, I am so impressed with. You know what I mean? A friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she had a gig recently, and she was terrified. She said she had, like, you know, it was really nerve-wracking gig, and for the whole gig she was just panicking, but she did it. That makes me just like, I'm so impressed at that. You know, I mean, that is everything. You know, even in full-blown panic mode, she got up there and did it. And that to me is that's it. You know what I mean? That to me is like, I am so impressed by that. That's wicked. That's finding that inner strength. That's what I mean by inner strength. You know, that digging deep, and you get on there and you do it, even though you're not. Even though you are terrified, you get on there and do it. I am, you know, words do not understate how proud I am of people who can do those things. And I'm proud of myself when I do it as well. You know what I mean? When I'm terrified, or I get stressy, or I get panicky at a gig, and I get up there and I do it, and I've finished the gig and I've done it, I am quite proud of myself. As much as I allow myself to be proud of myself at this point in time. But it's an incredible thing. And it is worth it to push yourself. It's horrible. Sometimes it's just horrible. But we can all do it. You've just got to dig deep. And sometimes it's going to be awkward. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're going to get lost in it. It's going to be the best thing ever. People are going to be dancing. They're going to be loving it. You're going to have audience interaction. And it's just going to be amazing. And you're going to be on a massive high. And it's going to be like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. And then the next gig is going to be like, oh my God, this is literally painful. And I'm panicking. And I don't know what to do about it. I'm scared. Oh no. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be horrible and awkward. And it's just going to be not a very fun experience. But the fact that you do it is everything. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up now, because I'm nearly out of time. So how do you get nervous? You don't. You just dig deep. And you can do it. You can do it. Don't think you can't, because the moment you think you can't, you're done. You can't. You might as well go home. You know, you can do it though. You just got to dig deep, find that inner strength, eliminate the variables by having backups, eliminate all these other thoughts like, you know, oh, what happens if this happens? If it happens, it happens. If I break a string, I break a string. I've got a spare guitar. I'll just switch to that. It takes seconds to switch guitars. You know what I mean? Lead out, off, on the stand, other guitar, lead in, away you go. You know what I mean? Away, you know, that's as simple as that. Your amp dies. Just stop the song for 5 seconds. You know, stop the song for a minute. Oh, amp's died, everybody. Sorry, one sec. Back with you in a sec. You know, people will wait. If they're into it, they'll wait. And if they don't wait, then they weren't into it in the first place, and it means you're not playing for them. You know what I mean? Play to the people who care. You know what I mean? And you've got to play. You've got to get lost in the music. You've just got to zone the world out and just create your own little world. You know, you just got to be honest and truthful and just let things just kind of go. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Strings break, amps die, pedals die, leads die. Nothing you can do about it. Don't worry about it. It's inevitability. You can't do anything to stop these things. All you can do is be prepared for when it happens. So, I hope this has made sense, this video. I hope there is something in this video you can kind of take away, and I hope it makes sense. Because I'm kind of terrified it's kind of a waffle and I haven't made any sense with this. Again, it's that fear thing to push yourself to do it. Like, I've got to, you know, I always get every video I upload, I get terrified about uploading the video. Is the intro jam good enough? Am I talking nonsense? You know, is there anything in there that's like, you know, I shouldn't have said, or I should have said this, or should have said that? You know what I mean? It's just life. You know what I mean? But getting on stage in front of people is terrifying. But you can do it. You just got to find that inner strength. You're gonna be nervous. You're gonna be panicky. It's just the way it is. One gig will be better than the other. One gig will be a total panic fest. The other gig will be an absolute pleasure fest. You know what I mean? It's just, it's all sorts, all these ups and downs. It's just like, you know, it's the way it is. You know, it's just, you just got to take it as it comes, so to say. But yeah, so, but anybody who gets on stage in full-blown panic mode and actually performs and sees it through is a hero in my book. You know, my friend the other day became, that's it. That's a hero to me. To go on stage in full-blown panic and still to perform, you're my hero. If you can do that kind of thing, if you can be that scared to get on stage and still do it, you know, I take my hat off to you. You know, I will bow at your feet for that kind of thing, because I know how hard that is. I know how hard that is, and I know how scary it is. So I'm impressed. So yeah, awesome. Absolutely awesome. So anyway, I hope this video has made sense, everybody. Yeah, I really do. I hope this video has made sense. I hope there's something in there you can kind of take away from this. And where are we here? Yeah, and yeah, I just wanted to check the date because I wanted to know where we are. But yeah, I hope there's something you can kind of take away from this. Like I said, but there won't be any Q&A this week because it's Christmas Day. So so there won't be a Q&A Wednesday this week. And there probably won't be a video on Friday because it'll probably be still family time at that point. But I have a backlog of Untitleds. They're not Untitleds anymore. I've stopped the Untitleds at 50. My songs from now on that I come up with are going to be titled. So I've got a backlog of these things. So I'm going to upload that. I'm going to upload one of them on Friday. And probably on Wednesday as well. On Christmas Day I will upload a song. And then on Friday I'll upload a song. And then normal service will resume next Monday. And also I'm not going to... yeah. I don't know where I was going with that one, but anyway, yeah. So but yeah, I'm not. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm not going to do a Q&A Wednesday this week. Just like I say, because it's Christmas Day, I'm not going to do that kind of thing. But I'm not going to do it for this week. It'll miss out. But I say normal service will be resumed the week after. So yeah, like I said, and I've got this backlog of these untitled, well, not untitled, these songs that I will upload as well, because I think I've got 4 or 5 of them that I need to get uploaded and just kind of sat on my laptop. So I need to get them up and for you to enjoy. But like I say, I hope this video has made sense. I hope there's something in there you can take away from this, and I hope it's not just a load of waffle. And yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. And I hope you all have an awesome Christmas, and I'll see you again very soon. And yeah, I hope you all get awesome stuff for Christmas, and I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope it's a great one for you. So yeah, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and a Merry Christmas. And I will see you again very soon. Yeah, have a great one. Thank you very much for supporting this channel, for watching these videos. I am forever grateful. You lot mean the world to me. You really do. I really can't understate that. I really can't understate that enough. Yeah, I am so grateful every day for what I get to do because of you lot. So thank you so much indeed. And yeah, and one more time, Merry Christmas. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now. Thank you very much.